Do not mistake your availability for generosity. A fountain that flows endlessly is mere water. A well found in the desert is life itself. Scarcity is the father of value. Reflections on sovereignty. There is a lie they told you. A comfortable lie repeated in movies, songs, and advice from well-meaning friends. The lie that if you are good enough, understanding enough, and devoted enough, you will be loved and respected. But reality, my friends, is cold, and as Machiavelli said in another context, nothing that moves desire is innocent, and nothing that sustains power is born solely of goodness. Look at your past relationships. Those who lost their internal control always became prisoners of the affection they offered. Perhaps you have been that man, the one who gives himself without a center and, without realizing it, ends up begging. This video is not to give you comfort. There is no comfort here, only lucidity. Because those who understand the game stop being played. This is not a text about romantic love. It is a manifesto on sovereignty. It is about how desire obeys a silent and brutal force. The force of one who does not fear losing. If you are tired of feeling that your kindness is seen as weakness, stay until the end. We are going to dissect the anatomy of power in relationships. Let's start with the error that destroys the majority of modern men. The biggest mistake in relationships is not a lack of love, nor a lack of communication, nor the absence of good intentions. You can have all that and still fail miserably. The biggest mistake is the illusion that desire is born from total surrender. The illusion that attraction grows with absolute transparency. The illusion that emotional power arises when you demonstrate everything you feel all the time. This fantasy was sold to us as a supreme virtue. Be vulnerable, they say, but in practice, it works as weakness. I am not saying that feeling is wrong. The problem is strategic. Revealing everything, all the time, destroys the asymmetry necessary for desire to survive. Think of physics. Think of magnetism. Where there is no tension, there is no attraction. Where everything is predictable, nothing is desired. If you hand over the mystery, if you narrate every insecurity, every fear, every thought that crosses your mind, you kill the space where attraction breathes. Revealing everything is suffocating her imagination, and without imagination, desire enters a state of rest. It does not die immediately, but it falls asleep. And the more you try to wake it up with insistence and declarations, the more you suffocate it. If total surrender is the poison, what is the antidote? Many confuse power with control over the other. This is a childish view. Yelling, ordering, forbidding, that is not power. That is noisy desperation. Power in relationships is not a question of explicit dominion, but of center. Who has power? It is the one who remains centered when the other becomes disorganized. It is the one who does not react impulsively. It is the one who does not run to fill the awkward silences. It is the one who does not rush to prove their value every 5 minutes. Emotional control is not an artificial coldness pretending to be a robot. It is internal sovereignty. It is the terrifying capacity to observe your own anxiety rising and not obeying it. Most people lose power not because they were actually rejected. They lose because they panic at the simple possibility of losing. And here is the golden rule. Whoever fears losing has already lost. Desire does not respond to requests. You cannot negotiate attraction rationally. Desire responds to presence, a firm, self-sufficient presence that does not beg for validation and does not negotiate dignity. When someone feels that you do not need them to survive emotionally, something changes in the dynamic. Not because you become distant in a theatrical or manipulative way, but because your life does not revolve around the approval of others. Let's talk about value. There is a common mistake of confusing attention with value. You think the more attention you give, the more valuable you will be. Wrong. Excessive attention does not increase desire, it dilutes it. Think of any resource in the world. The more abundant, the less valuable. The more you offer yourself without criteria, the less rare you become. Emotional power demands conscious scarcity. And be careful here. I am not talking about the forced scarcity of the pickup artist, of that guy who feigns disinterest and counts the minutes to reply to WhatsApp. That is theater. I am talking about the natural scarcity of someone who has priorities, projects, and direction in life. Emotionally powerful people do not disappear to punish their partner, but they also do not explain themselves to be accepted. They follow their goals, and whoever wants to accompany them must adjust their pace. There is an uncomfortable truth that few accept. The relationship always reveals who leads emotionally. Leading does not mean giving orders, it means defining the rhythm. If you always reply in the same instant, if you adapt to any change in her mood, if you live in a state of emotional alert, monitoring whether she is happy or not, you have already surrendered the center. You are not leading, you are reacting, and whoever reacts is led. There is an invisible game that happens in almost all relationships, even when no one admits it. The game of validation. The rule is simple. Whoever needs to be validated surrenders power. Whoever chooses to validate themselves recovers the center. This is not arrogance, it is emotional autonomy. When you constantly depend on external signs to feel safe, that good morning message, that compliment, that confirmation that she still loves you, you start living in reaction. Needing is a smell that women sense from miles away, and it does not reveal itself only in explicit requests of, "Do you love me?" It appears in the excesses, in unlimited availability, in the haste to reply, in the need to explain everything, in the anxiety to resolve any small noise immediately. Needy people believe they are being attentive, but deep down, they are just trying to avoid the internal discomfort of not knowing. Emotional power begins when you tolerate the not knowing, when you understand that not everything needs an immediate answer to continue existing. Emotional authority is not something demanded with shouts. It is something built in calm. This brings us to one of the most powerful and misunderstood tools: silence. Not punitive silence of someone giving the cold shoulder, but conscious silence. Knowing how to stay silent when you are emotionally activated is the maximum sign of internal dominion. Most men speak to alleviate their own anxiety, not to communicate something real. You feel a discomfort, an insecurity, and start talking, explaining, sending long texts. Whoever has power tolerates the momentary discomfort of silence. Why? Because they know that acting in the heat of emotion generally weakens their position. Emotional tests happen all the time. Prolonged silences, subtle changes, provocations. The majority react by trying to fix it. This reaction reveals dependence. Whoever has power observes before acting. Sometimes the strongest response is stability. Remaining whole while the other oscillates creates respect. There is a huge difference between responding and reacting. Reacting is automatic, predictable, impulsive. It is the dog running after the ball. Responding is deliberate, strategic, aligned with values. People who respond instead of reacting conduct the dynamic without needing to impose anything. They do not raise their voice, do not dramatize, do not explain themselves excessively. They observe, process, and then decide. Another underestimated factor is time. Most people act as if everything needs to be resolved now, clarified now, defined now. This haste is not born of love, it is born of anxiety. Whoever has power does not run against time, they walk with it. Time, when used well, works in favor of those who know how to wait. Patience is not passivity. It is conscious containment. It is knowing that not every emotion asks for immediate action. When something provokes discomfort, the common reaction is to act to alleviate the internal tension. Long messages, hasty confrontations. All this serves more to calm the one acting than to solve the problem. Non-reactivity creates space for things to reveal themselves on their own. And what reveals itself without pressure is usually truer. When you do not run to fill the voids, the other reveals how they deal with them. Some people get closer, others pressure, others move away. This information is valuable. Whoever lives reacting loses the chance to observe. There is a silent power in not needing to close cycles immediately, in allowing the relationship to mature or dissolve without anxious interference. This communicates self-sufficiency. It is the implicit message that your life is not suspended, awaiting someone's decision. Now, you must be thinking, but if I do not react, do I accept everything? Not at all. Emotional power also involves clear limits, and clear limits are psychological aphrodisiacs. When you accept everything, you communicate that anything will do. When you establish limits calmly, you communicate value. Emotionally powerful people are not afraid to generate friction when necessary. They do not seek conflict, but they also do not avoid it at any cost. When something displeases them, they do not stay silent for fear of losing. They speak with firmness, without explosion, without apologizing for existing. Emotional control is not swallowing everything. It is choosing the form of expression. And here enters the power of no. When you start saying no with tranquility, without justifying too much, something transforms. The calm no has more strength than 1,000 emotional explanations. It signals that there is an internal limit that does not depend on external validation. Limits do not push away those who respect. They push away those who wanted control. And losing those who want to control is not a loss. It is filtering. And if you have already lost the center, if you have already become the nice guy who says yes to everything, how to return? Recovering the center is not confronting the other, demanding respect. It is an internal process. It begins when you stop asking yourself, how should I act so I don't lose her? And start asking, is this aligned with who I am? Many believe that recovering power requires hardening, becoming cold, turning into an iceberg. This is just another form of reaction. The true return to center is more silent. It is reducing explanations. It is decreasing urgency. It is stopping the justification of your limits. It is resuming interests that had been abandoned. It is returning to occupy your own time with something that does not involve the other. There is an initial discomfort in this process. When you stop chasing, the other feels the change. Sometimes they react with strangeness, with tests, with subtle demands to pull you back to the role of the submissive. This is the critical moment. Whoever retreats returns to the starting point. Whoever sustains the posture without aggression redefines the dynamic. Desire reacts in a curious way when the center returns. The other starts to realize that you are no longer available in the same emotional way. You are present, but not dependent. Interested, but not anxious. This new equilibrium generates a tension that awakens curiosity and respect. But attention, recovering power does not guarantee the permanence of the relationship. Sometimes you discover that the relationship was only sustained because you were out of yourself. When you return, it does not adjust. And that is not failure. It is revelation. We have reached a point of refinement. The most common error of those who begin to understand emotional power is confusing self-mastery with hardening. Hardening is creating armor. Integrating is creating structure. Armor isolates. Structures sustain. True emotional power does not eliminate tenderness. It makes it chosen. When you do not need to protect yourself all the time, because you know you can withstand the loss, you can allow yourself to be open at the right moments. The difference is that now this openness is not born of neediness, but of internal abundance. You do not give yourself to be accepted. You give yourself because you want to. There is a fine line between presence and rigidity. People who confuse power with excessive control end up closing themselves off too much, avoiding feeling. The balance is in feeling fully and acting selectively. Free emotion, conscious action. This changes the quality of desire. It ceases to be urgency and becomes depth. It ceases to be fear of loss and becomes the pleasure of exchange. In the end, everything comes down to a single capacity, the basis of all power. Power is also revealed in the way you deal with the possibility of the end. Whoever lives terrified of the end acts in a submissive way, even without realizing it. Whoever understands that they can lose and survive becomes more whole. This does not mean desiring the end. It means accepting that the end does not define your value. This posture changes the energy of the relationship. The other feels that you are there because you want to be, not because you desperately need to be. There is something deeply attractive in someone who does not negotiate their identity to maintain a bond. This person does not threaten to leave, but also does not bend to stay. And here is the key. Real value is perceived when you know how to walk away without hatred and stay without annulling yourself. Dignity is not rigidity, it is integrity. It is not accepting less than what you offer. It is not selling yourself emotionally for crumbs of attention. When you withdraw calmly from situations that do not honor you, you communicate value without saying a word. And what is communicated without words carries much more weight. Gentlemen, power in relationships is not something you learn to use against someone. It is something you develop so it is not used against you. Whoever masters these dynamics does not become cold, they become clear. They do not become distant, they become selective. They do not become manipulative, they become whole. And wholeness is magnetic. Loving without a center is not a virtue, it is self-abandonment. Love that demands the loss of self is not love, it is escape. Emotional power does not destroy love, it purifies it. It removes anxiety, fear, need. What remains may be less intense and chaotic at the beginning, but it is infinitely more real. Starting today, stop investing in potential. Stop trying to save. Stop trying to convince. Start observing more, feeling more, choosing with more criteria. Power in relationships, in the end, is not about the other. It is about not betraying yourself to be loved. It is about not losing your own voice in the name of a false harmony. Emotional power is not dominating relationships. It is not being dominated by them. If this content touched on something real for you, subscribe. Here, we do not speak what is comfortable. We speak what is necessary. Maintain the center. See you in the next video.